Hello and welcome to the MB Om podcast, where you will learn to master the business of yoga with guests from around the world who have experienced becoming successful yoga teachers, studio owners, and much more. Now, here's your host, Amanda Kingsmith.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the MB Om podcast. I'm really excited for today's solo episode. It's been a number of weeks since I did a solo episode, and I found with season 2 that I just keep getting caught up in interviewing really, really cool people and then wanting to share that with you listeners right away. And so I've had this idea of this 3-part marketing series that I want to do just on my own for a while. So the next 3 episodes are going to be dedicated towards this. And the inspiration behind this kind of comes from, some great guests that I've had on the show. Danielle Joseph's episode on branding definitely got me thinking more about marketing and how the business side of marketing is so important. And something that I've been talking a lot about on social media with Mastering the Business of Yoga is how our business is really connected to our mental space, talking about things like body image and self-love and confidence. And I think that stuff is really, really important. It's something that has really surprised me about being an entrepreneur and working for myself is how much, if I'm not feeling good from within, my business just doesn't thrive. Like, your business is really connected to the way that you're feeling personally. And I've really learned that, and it's something that I probably couldn't have told you 2 years ago. Actually, almost guaranteed that I couldn't have told you. And so I want to continue those conversations, but I was thinking the other day about how, there's a couple fallacies around marketing. I mean, marketing kind of becomes this like big daunting word the same way business does. It's like, oh, business, I don't know business. When really so many people who I've had on the show who have created successful, sustainable careers for themselves would say that they know nothing about business, yet they're in business every single day. They're doing business and they're doing it well. Marketing, probably the same way. Creating a brand has kind of a stigma almost around it, or kind of this concept that, we can't do it or I can't do it, when really you totally can. And so the first thing that I wanted to dig into with marketing is the concept of websites. It's something that I've talked to a lot of different yoga teachers about on the show. It's something that I've had a lot of conversations outside of the podcast with new yoga teachers about. It's something I've talked to some of my closest yogi friends about is, do I need a website? And I think the first thing to address around a website is, do I need a website? Well, you don't need to do anything. I think that's a key business lesson. You don't ever need to do anything. You don't need to teach classes. You don't need to have a mailing list. You don't need to set up a website for yourself. You don't need to tell anyone about your schedule. You don't need to do any of these things. But to be successful, there are some things that you probably should be doing. And I really feel like having a website is one of them. Now, I know a number of different yoga teachers who are super successful without any form of website or Facebook page. If you teach in studio, you've really got this place to build a following, and you've got this place where people know where they can find you. They don't need to go to the internet into a separate space to find you, because they know where to find you. They know you're at that studio a couple times a week. They know that. I think that if you listen to the sales funnel episode that my partner Ryan and I did, we really talk about how the people who come to your classes are kind of the top of your sales funnel. And this is the sales funnel in like the least greasiest salesperson way. It's in the best way, because these people like your stuff and you kind of want them to purchase more of your stuff. You thrive as a yoga teacher that way, and they also benefit because they like what you're putting out there. People will never buy things from you if they don't like what you're putting out there. And so thinking about it that way, as in like, so you teach at studio Studio X, and people know they can always find you there. But what happens if you move or you leave Studio X, or that person leaves Studio X and all of a sudden they continue wanting to work with you? Like they leave that studio or they move away and they're like, how can I get a hold of you? How can I find out where you're teaching? How can I find out when you're offering private classes or where you're offering them? Well, they can't if you don't have somewhere online where they can go. So do I need a website or not? Definitely think about whether or not it would serve you. Think about what you would do with it and what you would use it for. Do you have ideas that you want to write about, ideas you want to share, or do you simply just want to have a space where somebody could see where you're teaching? And that's totally doable on a website. So that's the first step, thinking about what you would want out of a website. The second step is looking at what your budget is. You could spend a ton of money getting a website made. You could spend thousands of dollars having somebody go into the back end and build something beautiful for you. But one of the great things about being alive in 2017 is that we don't need to do that. You can if you want, but if your budget is $50 to $100, it's really easy to set up a website. So lots of people get it in their heads that now I teach yoga, like I'm not technologically savvy, I can set up a website. Well, I've set up 3 websites and I would not describe myself as software savvy. In fact, it has been to the point for me at times where I have to take a break from my computer because I feel like I'm going to throw it off of a balcony and watch it shatter into a million pieces because it's frustrated me so much. And it's with stuff that's like not even that hard in the realm of technology. So if you're sitting there being like, I can't do this, I hate computers, I hate technology, you are totally capable of doing it, because if I can do it, you can do it for sure. So the next step after a budget is deciding what platform you want to use. So there are a couple different platforms. There's WordPress, there's Squarespace, there's Weebly, there's Wix. And do your research to see what's going to work best for you. All of my websites I've ever built have been on WordPress, and it's the site that I'm going to continue to use because I'm really happy with the functionality on the back end of it. It's something I'm familiar with and it's working well for me, so I'm not going to change. So everything I'm going to speak to with websites is going to be about WordPress. I would imagine that Weebly and Wix are not so different. So do your research, see what's going to work, and even looking at different themes within them. So before you sign up for a WordPress account, before you pay any money, go and look and see if there's a theme that you can imagine your logo on, your photo on, your bio on, something that's going to work for you functionally. So this is why step 1 is really important. Sit down with a piece of paper, draw out what you would kind of imagine, what kind of stuff you want to have on there. If you just want like a basic landing page, what photos you could use, maybe a color scheme. If you already have a logo, think about that. And if this is something that you're really struggling with, somebody like Danielle Joseph, this is like what she does. She has resources on her website at Your Yoga Brand about doing this kind of stuff. So there are people that you can definitely reach out to, and you can always send me an email, info@mbomyoga.com as well. If you have any questions, I set up a number of different websites and I'm totally happy to answer questions on this or to assist you in any way that I can. But sit down and decide what you want, like draw it out, get some ideas flowing, set your budget. So say, okay, I need to do this in under $100, and then head on over to WordPress and look at the free themes, look at the paid themes, and see what's going to work for you. And then you can get started with WordPress, or if you decide to go in a different direction, going in a different direction. And then from there, you need to decide if you want to host your own website or not. And so the idea of hosting your own website might be a confusing one to you, where you're like, I don't even know what this means. You've totally lost me in terms of like website lingo. So basically you can have like a blog, like you could have amandakingsmith.wordpress.com, where I don't really pay anything for that. I could pay for a theme, but I could do it almost entirely free. Or you can actually buy the URL. So you can go to something like GoDaddy.com and buy the URL. Or you can host through Bluehost, which is what I do. So everything that I do is through Bluehost. I pay a yearly rate to host my own URL. So I actually own mbomyoga.com, and I own amandakingsmith.com, and I own theworldwanders.com, and I pay a yearly fee to continue to own those. So it's kind of weird to think about this idea of, I guess, like owning property almost on the internet because it's so intangible, but that's basically what it is. You own www.whatever.ca.org.com. And I think that it's a really smart idea to just go buy your name as a domain. And I've talked to a number of different people who have had to figure out different things with theirs because they share the same name as like an actor or an actress or an author. I think Laura Fraser, Danielle Joseph, and Kristen Stewart are all ones that I've interviewed who come off the top of my head. So Kristen Stewart has .ca, Laura Fraser has .ca, and Danielle Joseph just created a different website. And it's something that if you want to dig more into websites, we talked about in the episode with Bree Johnson from Heart and Bones Yoga, and she talked about how she debated this. Do I do breejohnsons.com or do I do Heart and Bones Yoga? And this is definitely like a valid question. There's no right, there's no wrong. Again, there's just figuring out what's going to work for you. Do you want a website that could interchange with everything that you're doing in your life? For example, amandakingsmith.com is not just a space for yoga. It's a space where I share things that are going on with me. It's my writing. It's my life. It's yoga and it's travel. It's links to my podcast. It's my bucket list. It's goals. It's not just a yoga website. And maybe at some point it will be, but for now it's a space that has like a compilation of different things, which is why it made sense when I started MBOM to have MBOM as its own URL, as its own space, because it's very different from what my personal space looks like. So deciding those things for yourself, if you already have a business and you're looking to get a website, maybe you just want your business URL because that's how people know you already. If you're just starting out, maybe you do your name and you can still have a business name within there. It's, Amanda Kingsmith at I Love Yoga. For example, that's a bad name. Don't call your company I Love Yoga. But just deciding what's going to work for you. So once you've laid out kind of drew up a design, see what's going to work for you, then you're going to set your budget, and then you're going to go find the site that you want, maybe like pick a theme, and then actually get started. So if you're confused about Bluehost at all, you can go onto my website. I have a link that'll send you to Bluehost where you can get your hosting for really affordably. So just go to mbomyoga.com/resources, and that'll help you get started. And once you've decided that, which I would recommend just buying your URL. I did for the first 6 months that I had a website. It was amandakingsmith.wordpress.com, and two different things. I mean, one, I own it now. It's mine. The other one is I feel way more legit not having the .wordpress.com. Make the decision for you just based on what you want, but there's definitely a level of professionalism there if you just pay for your URL, and especially because it's not that expensive. So you could have a budget of $100 and for sure have a solid URL and a beautiful theme. So once you've got all that, if you've got your hosting set up, you've got your WordPress set up, you can actually go in to your back end of WordPress and get your theme going. And so this is the part that I think terrifies people, and it certainly terrified me the first time that I sat down to do it. I would look at these themes and be like, yeah, sure, this is great, but like, how am I going to do this? Like, I am technologically inept. I don't know code. I can't do this. I can't build this. And the great thing with WordPress is that with all of the themes, there's theme instructions. So it'll tell you what plugins you need. It'll give you a demo you can download and upload into WordPress that helps set it up just like the demo. It'll tell you like, okay, go here, and show you pictures to set up your widgets. There's plugins for social icons, so it automatically links your social media. It's not as hard as you think. The biggest part about this, though, is that you're going to need a couple hours to do it. And you're going to need a couple hours where you have scheduled enough time for yourself where you can take a break from it. So give yourself time. Schedule a whole day or a whole afternoon. Maybe it's like 1 till 5, or maybe in the morning when your energy is higher, just depending on who you are and how you function. And, tell yourself, maybe use the Pomodoro technique and do 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, or something like that. But tell yourself that you're going to work on the website the entire time, because it's easy to get started and feel inspired, and then it's easy to get started and feel stuck. And I think that it's really important to really give yourself that chunk of time where you just allow yourself to work on the website. Just allow yourself to build it in that time. And so as a gift, I guess, to myself or to MBOM, I decided to give the website a makeover and choose a different theme and redesign the entire look of the website. And so even though I've done a number of different websites now, I still feel a little bit anxious by the idea of redoing a website. There's not a solid trust in my skills to be able to do it. And so I blocked off an entire day for this. So I put it in my calendar, I scheduled it in my day timer, and I sat down and I looked at different themes and I looked at what was going to be functional. And once I had done that, I purchased it for, $50 for this beautiful theme, and I downloaded it and I opened up the instructions and I sat patiently and worked, one widget by one widget, changing the text, changing the photos, changing the content. And the beautiful thing about if you already have a website is once you have the content, it's already there. If you need to create the content, you can kind of just put some stuff in to begin with and then go back through and really refine what you want to say. And it doesn't take that long to do that. I mean, I scheduled an entire day for myself and it didn't take me an entire day. But by having given myself that time, I felt patient. I felt comfortable, and I was like, wow, when I pull up the instructions, this is actually really not easy, really not that hard. It's pretty easy. And so there's, I think, two major fallacies with websites in the yoga world. One, that they're expensive, and two, that it's too hard to do as a yoga teacher if you don't have the skills. And those are completely not true. Bluehost allows you to set up for, as little as $3.95 and up. So super, super affordable. You can buy 1 to 3 year plans, and there are a bunch of different add-ons, but you don't need all that stuff. Just buy the basic Bluehost hosting package and call it a day, and then go find your theme. And based on the budget you've set for yourself, you know what to work within. I wouldn't spend more than $75 on a website right now, on a website theme right now. And I think there's a ton of really beautiful ones in WordPress. So it's definitely not expensive. I think you could for sure do it in under $100. And I think that you could spend a day working on it and have something really beautiful created for yourself. So that sort of wraps up the topic of, do I need a website? So I guess the long of the short is, no, you don't need a website. But if you plan to be a career yoga teacher and you want to build your audience, build your business, if you want to be able to keep in touch with your students from anywhere in the world, if you want a platform for advertising retreats and workshops, I would say yes, you do need a website. You need somewhere where people can go to learn more about you. And if anyone has any questions about this topic, you can definitely reach out to me at info@mbomyoga.com. There'll be a supplementary blog post coming out with this as well, talking a little bit more about what I talked about today with links and that sort of thing. And you can head on over to www.mbomyoga.com to learn more, to check out the blog, and of course, to join the community on the newsletter. And as always, thanks so much for listening, and namaste.